Hello everyone, friends. In this video, we're going to talk about female manipulation. This is the very tool that allows a woman to put a man in a weak position, bend him to her will, lose interest in him, and eventually leave. You need to be prepared for this. What do all manipulations have in common? They revolve around feelings of guilt and creating a sense of inferiority. So what do I mean by that? For example, let's take provoking anger as an example. This is a situation where you're having a disagreement with a woman over something that really isn't worth it, basically. And during the argument, during the conflict, the woman adds fuel to the fire. The man loses his temper, insults her, maybe even hits her, and she gets offended. That's it. After that, the man will try to make up with her, he'll follow after her. This situation will be a losing one, and the balance of significance will shift. Let's take another situation. Provocation for pity. Well, the most typical example. During a conflict, the woman starts to cry. Again, the man feels pity, a sense of guilt, and he goes to make up with her. This situation will also be a losing one. It can be a direct imposition of guilt. This is exactly when a woman tries to plant the idea that something is wrong with the man. Unfortunately, it works like a charm. If we talk about creating an inferiority complex, this is exactly the situation when a woman might use her friend's boyfriend or husband as an example. What he did for her, how he behaves. She might do this in a veiled way. Like, for example, she might say, you know, Dima gave Masha this and that. Of course, this is directed at you. It can even be a more blatant situation. This is when she brings up her exes as examples, some kind of past relationships from the past, what men did for her, how they acted. And you start to feel like something is wrong with you. If we take a typical everyday situation, how can a woman out of nowhere create emotional reactions in a man? For example, it's only been a month or two of the relationship. The man is taking a strong position, let's say, but this woman is a manipulator. There is a lack of attention. In other words, women aren't getting enough. Fine. But the man canceled the meeting. Well, he couldn't make it. He didn't want to. It's not that important. A suitable girl for a relationship will keep trying, seeking attention, trying to please. The demo version will keep working. But a manipulative woman won't. And this is where she'll start causing a rebellion in the little house. That is, she might immediately start being negative, or she might start playing games like, oh, you can't make it, right? Okay, I see how it is. She'll cancel the next meeting, or suddenly she'll start saying, no, I'm busy now, I can't make it. Yes, so she starts distancing herself from us even more, for example. So what should you do in this situation? Here, a sense of guilt is created as if we've hurt her or haven't given her enough attention, as if we're being careless or indifferent towards her. And that's exactly how she presents it. With this kind of attitude like, I'll treat you the same way you treat me. What kind of reaction is she trying to get from the man? Of course, it's closeness, an apology, some kind of reciprocal step. We absolutely do not give her that. So the general principle of all manipulations, it's logical to assume, right? We understand what the woman wants to get from us right now, and we don't give it to her. If we're talking about the situation I just described, like, here's how you could act in this situation. Here, it's simply important to mirror her behavior. Just mirror her. So if she distances herself, we distance ourselves too, that's it. Believe me, after some time, she'll see that this approach isn't working, and she'll be the one to move closer. While she's being negative, we don't try to get closer. As soon as she starts reaching out in a reasonable way, we continue the relationship without any discussions. Everything's fine, as if nothing ever happened. If we're talking about provoking jealousy, it's very important to distinguish between situations here. One situation is, that's when there's a deliberate attempt to see and provoke jealousy. Another situation is when a woman actually gives a reason for it. She does it unintentionally, not on purpose. In other words, she crosses, let's say, the acceptable boundaries of behavior for a girl who is in a relationship. Option number one, she just tries to make us jealous. That could be stories about how someone hit on her or someone tried to get to know her. Or, for example, let me tell you about a situation I had. For instance, the first one that comes to mind, this is a situation where I had a short relationship with a girl. The girl was quite smart, interesting, but still a bit of a diva. One evening at around 11 p.m., she sends me a photograph of herself riding in a car with the bright city lights shining outside the window. I simply don't react to it. I mean, I understood why she was doing it. I keep the conversation going. And after about 5 to 7 minutes, I say, "All right, I'm going to bed now. Good night." She goes, "Yeah, good night. Sweet dreams." About 20 minutes later, I get a message. "Aren't you even curious where I am?" So, if a woman is trying to provoke us to feel jealous and we don't give her any feedback or reaction, we reinforce our strong position. She'll get even more attached to us. If someone is hitting on her and she tells us about it, honestly, we're not particularly interested either. Yeah, well, what are we supposed to say? What, just another guy you're brushing off or what? But if her actions cross certain boundaries, that's when it's important to act decisively. But by no means should you do it through some kind of talk about how it's wrong or that she shouldn't behave that way and all that stuff. No, we always respond with our actions. Again, everyone wants to hear some kind of universal recipe. I can't say exactly how we should react. It depends on the situation, on what kind of reason she gave, whether we had stated our positions in advance, how it all looked. Because sometimes it might be total ignoring right away. Sometimes we might just distance ourselves. Sometimes we might mirror her behavior. So it really depends on the situation. Friends, when it comes to female manipulation, the topic is more than global. I will record a separate video series dedicated to each individual manipulation and what kind of feedback it's important for us to give. So in this video, I just gave a bit of general information. So what do we have left in summary? First point, that when a woman gets offended or blames you for something, that's already a destructive action in the relationship. She is now trying to bend you to her will. In other words, she's not trying to reach consensus or resolution. This is an act. She's trying to make you submit. Got it? Second point, we don't give her what she wants. That is, we understand where all this is going and we never give her what she wants. Otherwise, as a reward, she'll just keep doing it. She'll keep using all these manipulations. And as for provoking jealousy, it's one thing when she tries to provoke us just to see our reaction. In that case, we don't care. We can even joke about it. If she crosses the line, punishment is inevitable. It has to be there. I also want to say that if, at the early stages, a woman is already trying to manipulate you, yes, we can break her, yes, we can play along with it, but you should immediately walk away from such a girl. In other words, a problem will definitely arise. I remember a story, it happened to me about 7 years ago. So there was a date with a girl which ended well, everything was fine, everything was good. We went our separate ways and went home, and for the first few days, I was just texting her. The next day, I get a message. She says, "I think we should end our communication." Well, I understood that this was just an attempt to bluff me, right? She waited and waited, got offended, and so on. How did I react? I didn't react at all. Okay, fine. About 10 minutes go by. She says, "Yeah, I was just joking. I just wanted to see how you would react." At this point, when she starts behaving like this from the very beginning, this woman is not suitable for a relationship. We just send her packing, friends. There's a certain type, the intrigue-loving woman. In other words, her personal life is just one big soap opera, like Santa Barbara. Someone wants something from her, someone is chasing after her, someone is trying to win her over. There are exes who won't leave her alone, some are courting her, giving her gifts. It bothers you, but she can't do anything about it. She has some friends who hit on her, confess their love, and she claims she had no idea. In other words, she manipulates men. She keeps piling it on, piling it on, piling it on, piling it on, and the guy is already uneasy, right? His eyes are practically popping out of their sockets. He can't sleep at night. So we immediately reject this. We walk away from her right away without any regrets. Another important recommendation is that we never get involved in sorting out relationships with a woman. That already lowers a man's rank. A man who lets his emotions take over is easy to control. We never do that. We always stay calm. We would never make such a decision. I will definitely record a series of videos dedicated to each specific manipulation and the ways we can handle all of this properly. So subscribe, give a like, and if you have a specific situation that needs to be resolved, then write to me on Vkontakte or WhatsApp, and we'll start working on it and solving the issue. See you all soon, friends.